Update. My 27 male fiancé 29 female was accused by her friend/maid of honor 29 female of stepping out on me. My fiancé claims she's trying to sabotage our relationship. I'm lost and questioning everything. How do I move forward? Original post. My relationship with my fiancé 29 female has kinda blown up. I've never felt this unsure in our relationship. I'm in need of outside perspectives. For context, we're college sweethearts. For orientation, I was touring campus, and she was my group's tour guide. That's how we met. She's my first love and best friend. Now we're in the height of wedding planning. About a couple of years ago, we had a rough patch with her shutting down and pushing me away. She wanted to take a break so she could find herself again. I don't believe in breaks. I wanted to work through it together, but her mind was made up, so I agreed. We established boundaries for the break. We wouldn't see other people, and we were to have checkups about where we were emotionally. The goal was to reinforce our foundation. The break was only a month. We bounced back stronger, but it's still a sore spot. The break was the most distant we'd ever been, and the experience highlighted why I'm against it. Recently, my fiancé had a bad falling out with a mutual friend/maid of honor, who I'll call Joss for clarity. Some nasty stuff was said, and Joss accused my fiancé of being a bridezilla and an even worse friend. I hoped the rift between them would mend because they were close for a long time. They were like sisters, but my fiancé kicked Joss out of the wedding and uninvited her. The damage seemed to be done for both. The other day, Joss reached out to me and said that my fiancé wasn't being completely truthful. She revealed not only did my fiancé see other guys during the break, but also hooked up with someone on their annual girls' trip. She gave the guy's name, but I don't know who he is. On the trip, my fiancé's group linked up with another they clicked with. Joss said it was clear the guy had an eye for my fiancé, and eventually, she and he began wandering off. My fiancé ignored Joss's attempts at talking her down. It was a lot to take in. My initial instinct was to shut Joss down. Up until this point, I trusted my fiancé fully, but I couldn't overlook how much Joss's account matched my doubts from back then. Like I said, we were the most distant during our break. It wasn't on my part. There were times she was AWOL on our checkups. During the girls' trip that fell on our break, she went radio silent in a way she wasn't on previous trips. There was truth to linking up with another group because my fiancé told me about it. She's still casually in touch with some of them. Right after the trip, she was gung-ho on calling the break off, saying it was a mistake and that she was in a better headspace. Joss claimed this was part of their falling out. She was pushing my fiancé to come clean with me before the wedding. She felt I deserved to know and wished she would have said something sooner. I didn't say much. I was too numb to really feel anything. I initially didn't confront my fiancé. I was trying to process, but she could tell something was wrong and kept asking. When I did confront her, she was a whirlwind of emotions. She mostly ranted about Joss, but I told her this was her chance to tell her own story. She asked if I'd hear her out. I promised I would. She confessed to seeing other guys during the break, but claims nothing happened. She also denies ever hooking up with anyone on the trip. I asked her why Joss would tell the truth about her seeing other guys, which alone thoroughly broke our boundaries, but make up an elaborate lie about her cheating on the trip. She insists Joss is trying to sabotage our relationship. She said the other guys meant nothing, and I'm the one she was in love with. It was like she wanted me to be grateful for choosing me. She promised to do anything to regain my trust. She said we're starting our lives together, and I shouldn't let Joss come between us. I wasn't very receptive to her. We fought, and I told her I needed to think. Ever since, she's been pouring on so much affection. She still swears she never hooked up with anyone on the girls' trip, and that Joss is trying to sabotage. But I can't shake the possibility that Joss is telling the truth. All of this has blown up while we're in the middle of wedding planning. Invites already delivered, venue booked, catering being arranged, suits, dresses, everything. I feel so numb. I'm in love with my fiancé. She's my best friend. It feels wrong to doubt her, but I'm questioning everything. Even myself. I don't know what to believe anymore. I feel like an idiot. How do I move forward for myself and my relationship? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Sorry, dude. Joss sounds like she isn't trying to sabotage your relationship. I am not sure what motivation she would have to do that. Your fiancé took your month-long break to bang other guys. If you can get past that, go for it. If not, you need to get the ring back and move on. My fiancé is trying to say Joss is being bitter because she kicked her out of the wedding and uninvited her, and that she's jealous. I don't know. I've known Joss for about as long as my fiancé, and she has never once came across as bitter or scheming. OP, what is your fiancé's story for why she kicked Joss out of the wedding in the first place? If according to her, Joss is doing this because she was kicked out, what caused the kicking out? Joss told you they fell out because of this very issue. How does your fiancé explain that? My fiancé claimed their falling out was over disagreement about bridesmaids details. Joss thought my fiancé was being unfair to the other women. They got into it and stuff was said out of anger. I originally believed they'd work it out because their relationship has always been like sisters, but things only escalated to my fiancé kicking Joss out of the wedding and revoking her invite. I was prepared to call out the friend for being jealous, but after reading it all, I think she's telling the truth. I think your fiancé is trickling out the truth to you. She's only telling you what she thinks you will forgive. She's lied and then realized she had to tell you a little bit. She's been lying since you got back together. Contact the other women that went on the trip and ask them as well. Check her phone for the messages between the group at that time. Get tested. Update me. I'm considering reaching out to the other women. I don't know how open they'll be about it. I get along with them, but they're more of my fiancé's friends, and they've largely stayed out of the falling out. Having been the Joss for friends myself, meet up with Joss, and have her get a friend/your fiancé on speaker. Someone that knows. Hear it for yourself. She was going to keep the seeing other guys part secret forever. I think Joss is telling the truth, and your fiancé is full of it. We established boundaries for the break. We wouldn't see other people. That's all you need to know. You established a boundary. She broke it. Whether she actually slept with someone or not, you need to decide if you can forgive that she's lied to you for years. Essentially, she withheld information in order to get back together with you and did not give you all the facts so that you could make an informed decision of whether or not that was something you wanted to do. I'm afraid she'll eventually tell the truth that she did sleep with someone else, but it will be months after the wedding when your choices have a more serious impact. Trickle truths and gaslighting, plus love bombing. Classic cheater moves. Now for the update. Thank you to everyone who reached out. It helped give me much needed perspective, and I wanted to give an update. I wanted a fuller picture before making a decision on anything with my fiancé. I knew her friends/bridesmaids would be a lost cause. I get along with them, but they're more of my fiancé's friends, and their group runs deep. They weren't going to talk at the expense of my fiancé. So I asked Joss for more info and for evidence to support her claims about my fiancé hooking up with someone on their girls' trip. She said my fiancé avoided talking about that particular trip, especially over text. Most of their arguments were in person, but she showed me texts from shortly after the trip, where my fiancé confirmed hooking up with the guy. She texted how it's in her rearview mirror, and she doesn't need a lecture about the past. She's focusing on the future. I knew the possibility, and my fiancé had already confessed to seeing other guys during our break. But I don't know. Seeing those texts made it real in a way it wasn't before. In the texts, she expressed regret, but it didn't make me feel better. I confronted my fiancé, and I knew immediately by the look on her face. She came clean on everything. She thought Joss deleted the texts. Around the break, we were having serious talks about marriage. She started worrying she was missing out on stuff her single friends were engaging in. During the break, she sought validation from other guys and fooled around with that guy on the girls' trip. In her own words, she had a temporary high when he chased her, but felt worse about herself post-hookup. She claims the break showed her what was important and that she wasn't missing out on anything, that she was reassured we were right for each other. I hardly said anything to her. I mostly just listened. I was too numb for much else. She kept asking me to say something, but what was there for me to say? I felt her actions spoke enough for us both. She kept apologizing for stepping out. When I asked her why she wasn't upfront with me, She said she didn't want to lose me over her biggest mistake. Her position that Joss isn't being noble hasn't changed. I told her Joss's motive doesn't matter. The truth is the truth. She asked if I could find it in myself to move past this. She said she loves me and she's fully committed. I couldn't tell her what she wanted. I said it was best that the wedding be put off and I needed space to sort my feelings. She was against postponing and proclaimed this didn't have to define us, and she's still the same woman I wanted to marry. She asked me not to give up on us. But the same way her mind was made up about the break, my mind was made up about postponing. It wasn't a choice. It wasn't so much a fight, more putting everything out there. She cried a lot. She rarely cries. It felt wrong to leave her crying. My first instinct was to comfort her, but I was too broken to fake it. I've been hurt before, but she hurt me in a way only she could. I know postponing the wedding is for the best. The reason why I didn't call it off entirely is because I'm way too much in my emotions right now. Hurt, anger, sadness, and somehow numbness, if at all possible. I try to avoid making decisions lost in emotion. I need to clear my head. I was so sure of my course and our relationship. My fiancé was my partner in every sense. She was who I wanted to make a life with. Sometimes she'd act so superior about our relationship compared to those of her friends. I feel so stupid. She says she's still the same person I love, but the fact is, she had a secret life I knew nothing about. I'm trying my best to understand that, but I'm at a complete loss. I'm not sure if I can move past this. All the guests have been informed of the postponement. Some questioned why, but I've been vague. I'm just too embarrassed. I feel bad for the guests too. Some with limited means already booked flights and hotels and took time off work for our wedding. That's how far we were in the home stretch. In some ways, it doesn't feel like my life. We were just together, wedding planning and discussing the honeymoon. The honeymoon was a surprise destination for her, some place she's always wanted to visit. Now we're here. I don't know where to go or what the future holds. Thanks to everyone again for the support. It means a lot. She's the same person in her eyes, but not in yours, because you didn't know she was capable of treating you this way. Her stepping out when you were on a break is one thing. It may have been possible to overcome it. But her lying and gaslighting you is recent and is who she is. You cannot trust her to tell you the truth if she thinks a lie would serve her more. That's the kind of person she is and has proven to be at least twice in this situation. She didn't just step out on the break. She initiated the break for the sole purpose of hooking up with other guys. Wow, I'm floored that fiancé still tried to blame this on her maid of honor instead of taking accountability of her own actions. You're right, she is not the same woman you were in love with. Hope you find peace. She doesn't seem to want to accept that this has nothing to do with Joss. Thank you, I appreciate it. It's called taking responsibility for your actions. Fiancée has given herself a pass on her betrayal, and despite all the proof still wants to throw someone under the bus for her own actions. She acts only for her own benefit, that is, deciding she wants to screw some other guys to find clarity or whatever, then expects you to just forgive it. That's not how life works. Judge her by her actions, and by the fact that she was never going to come clean. It may seem impossible, but you are still really young and can start over with someone who will act to your benefit, not just theirs alone. Joss did you a favor. Be sure to thank her. Last story. My boyfriend just told me something devastating. How can I salvage this relationship? Original post. For context, me 25 female and my boyfriend 33 male have been dating for 6 months. I was single for about 8 months before dating him, and he was single for about 6 years. So we talked for about 4 months before actually going out and dating each other. These 6 months have been great, and we communicate well with each other. We love each other's families, push each other to do new things, and both share an interest in cooking and love trying new recipes together. We began spending every weekend together, and I would sleep over 2 nights out of the week. Strange little hints that things were off started happening about 2 weeks ago. He would reply with shorter texts to my messages. He just got a new office and would spend time over there and cancel our weekend sleepovers. And I noticed a slight distance when we would call. Today he asked if he could drop by before going to his office and told me he was still not over his ex. For context, this was a girl he dated over 6 years ago and says she broke his heart. They work together, and recently he's told me that he feels for her situation because she's going through a lot. He told me that it's purely emotional, and he wants to be fair to me and tell me. He told me that he wasn't sure if we needed a break, so he could figure out what to do. I told him I needed a couple of days to think and collect my thoughts, then promptly went inside to cry. I truly do love him and everything about him, and I want to know if this is worth trying to salvage and get hurt, or if there is no moving on past something that stings this much. How do I go about opening up a conversation, asking if he wants to move on, or if this is really done? Man's not over his ex after 6 years. It's probably best if you let him figure it out on his own. OP's noticing a slight distance because he's already communicating with the ex. His short texts and admission of not being over his ex clearly communicate which relationship he is more invested in. OP, I hope you see this. He is putting her needs before your own. You've only been in this for 6 months. Let him go. He's already prioritizing her over you. You deserve someone who will always choose you. He's already putting the ex before OP, and it's showing. What happens if an important event comes up and the ex wants his attention at the same time? OP shouldn't settle for second place with this guy. Hi, I got dumped for a woman my ex dated in high school 30 years ago. For the years we were together, he never mentioned her, or not being over her, or that she was the one that got away, or anything, until she popped up back in the picture. He's telling you now only a few months in that he's not over her. Let him go. He's telling you that you aren't his first choice. Don't let him tell you again. Damn, an ex from 30 years ago? People are nuts. Right? We were talking about moving in together. Then I got hit with, she's the one that got away. And I always wondered what would happen if I ended up with her. It ended up being a blessing in disguise. But it didn't make it any easier or hurt less. But oh well. Last thing I knew, they were engaged. But I haven't talked to or seen him since we broke up, so I don't know. I assume they got married and are still together. Now for the update. I went over to talk to him just a few minutes ago and broke it off. The conversation didn't go at all how it went in my head, but I think I got my point across. I told him if he still had to heal and get over her, he would have to do it by himself, because I wasn't a second option or a safety fallback. I wished him well, but the way he was talking makes me think he will inevitably get tangled up with her again. Trying not to let that bother me. Thank you everyone for your kind words, and some harsher ones that removed the rose-colored glasses, and all the advice. I'm hurting, but I can begin healing from this.